Hey, everybody, welcome to Love and Reload, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I am blessed and honored to be here with one of my very good friends and a huge source of inspiration, Hosea Bottley, CEO, president, and founder of Aaversal Global Relocation. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Ben. How about yourself?
Dude, I am blessed beyond measure, man. I got to tell you what, man, life is amazing. I'm actually, it's a weird time right now. I know this is a rhetorical question people ask at the start of conversation, but here I go. This is weird for me, man. This is the last day me and my family are in the house that we've been in the last 3 years, where my second son was born, our first home, and it's kind of a trip, man.
Yeah. Getting a little emotional, huh?
I am. I'm a big crybaby. I cry like little known fact. I'm a very emotional person. But yeah, man. I mean, you're a family man. You know how it is, right?
Absolutely. No. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so it's a little emotional, but God is good and there's a plan and we are on the path and it's all good, man. Things are happening and I owe a lot of that to you as well. So I want to say a big thank you because you're one of the reasons that you're one of the people who really inspired me to make the leap and go out on my own. And we're going to talk about entrepreneurship and we're going to talk about your decision to do that, how you did that, and what that was like for you. But I just want to say thank you, man. It means the world to me, really.
Hey, man, it's a pleasure. It was a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to work with you, to talk with you. I'm so excited for you to make that leap of faith, man. It's going to be great. You're going to love it.
Thank you, man. I already do. I already do. And what's cool is I get to work with great people like you. And so I'm thrilled about it. We got people checking in, also a bunch of great people checking in right now. So if you haven't already done so, hit that like button, throw a little love out to Hosea. Hosea, where in the world are you right now, man?
I'm in Seattle, man.
Seattle.
Seattle.
All right. Okay. How you like that up there?
It's nice. It's okay. I'm ready to make a move, but we'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe you come down to Texas with me, man. It'd be cool. Let's see here. We got people checking in. Leave one in the comments. I want to know who you are, where you are, what you're up to right now. We've got an expert in international household goods shipping, government household goods, small shipments. Jose is here. He can answer any questions you have about that, as well as entrepreneurship. I want to talk about Black entrepreneurship, how we can help people move from employees to entrepreneurs. I want to cover all that, his personal journey. So if you got questions about any of that, let us know. This is fantastic. Janet Turner, what's up, Janet? Love you, Janet.
Hey.
Hosea, so happy to see you on Love and Relo again. Janet, so good to see you. Tim Court, 2 superstars. Hello, Hosea and Ben from Western New York. What up, Tim?
Hey.
Hey, Tanya.
Tanya.
Our good friend Tanya Maritini. Hello, Hosea and Ben. Tanya is one of the all-time great people.
She's awesome, man. Business. She is awesome.
So positive, so smart. It's rare you find people so smart and so positive. Usually smart people be like, I don't know, there's a lot going on out there. But Tanya is so optimistic. Yeah. It's so wonderful and uplifting.
Tanya and I have some great conversations, man. We get down to the gritty of it,
Yeah, Tanya's fantastic. Yeah. Erica Burton, hey Hosea and Ben. Erica, another wonderful person. She was on yesterday.
Awesome yesterday, yes.
Oh yeah. Brian Rivers, great to see Hosea. Met you both around the same time. Man, you must have been on a hot streak, Brian. Congrats on your new chapter, Ben. Thank you. Get busy living or get busy dying. You know where that's from? You know what that's from? You know that one, Hosea?
I've heard that a few times.
Get busy living or get busy dying. That's from Shawshank Redemption, I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
Andy Dufresne. Yeah. He also went up to Morgan Freeman in the yard and said, I heard you're a man that knows how to get things. Excited to continue watching your trajectory and the show's trajectory. Hey, you know what? Awesome, Brian. Listen, you're a part of that trajectory. I got to shout out Brian Rivers at First Tech Federal Credit Union. And this is a great time. Stacy, can we roll that? Super producer Stacy, can we roll that there? 8 weeks of giving promotion going on right now, sponsored by First Tech Federal Credit Union. You can win free wine. We're giving away 2 bottles of wine per week. It was supposed to be 1, but First Tech was so generous. We're giving away 2 now. Go to loveandrelo.com/community. Stop what you're doing. Don't X out this window because I promise you're going to want to watch. But go into a new browser. I know I'm asking a lot of people. Go into a new browser. Go to loveandrelo.com/community. Visit our website. Put your information in right there. Super simple. And then we're going to draw on Friday our next episode because we're skipping tomorrow. When Juanita Ingram from Expat Ingrams is on, we're going to draw and we're going to win 2 bottles of wine. And I encourage you to do that. Thank you so much, Brian, at First Tech Federal Credit Union. And here's one of our winners right here. Zach Stevenson, Hosea Bottley, and Ben Cross. Have a great show today, guys. Looking forward to it. What's up? And then Stephen Meyer from Atlanta, Georgia. Be safe out there, driver. Talk to Steven today. Steven's going to come on, talk household goods from a driver perspective.
Nice.
Yeah, that's going to get fiery. I tell you what, man. These drivers, man. Tell me about household goods, man. So let's talk about household goods real quick. But we're going to get to the rest of the folks. Oh man, we got some great people. Oh, I got to get these shout outs. I got to give these shout outs, man. Okay. Here we go. Tim Quirk, Stacy Huff. What's up, Stacy? Beth McSkimming from Chicagoland. Nina Taylor in Houston. H-Town in the house. Mary Beth Nitz. Hey, Jose.
Mary Beth. Yeah.
Get that, Mary Beth. Awesome. Milton Hilliard. What's up, Milton? Good to see you. Milton's going to be on the show this month, too. Jason Rollins from Express Corporate Housing. What's up, Jason? Sandra Clary, EDC. Yes, Tanya is amazing. Yes, we all know that. We almost named this Tanya and Relo, but it was so close. Janet, Tanya's the sweetest, so now we're just going to have a little mutual appreciation for Tanya going on. Valerie checking in. Dano. What was your first memory of Dano? Or favorite memory of Dano?
Dano he's a huge supporter of mine, man. He's funny, he's hilarious. You know, I mean, from the word say go, you know, we talk all the time, you know. He's a great guy, man. Great guy.
Dano's a good dude. Dano gave me a pocket square when I was in Atlanta at ERC. He hooked me up. I needed a little something extra.
Yeah. Now he can dress now. He can dress.
He blessed me, man. Appreciate you, Dano. Jack Jampel. Hey guys, what's up, Jack? Love Jack. Mary Beth Nitz, Shawshank. Yes, people know Shawshank. One of my top 5 favorite movies. Jennifer Anderson. Hi, Ben and Hosea.
Hey.
Look at this, Tanya. Yeah. Bill, everybody's in here. This is great. Want to hear your questions about household goods? Want to hear your questions about entrepreneurship? So leave them. Alan King, checking in from Germany. First Tech Credit Union, my favorite bank. Yeah, Alan, you think this is like every other drawing in Relocation where we like pick who gets the prizes, but we don't. This is a actual legitimate drawing. People shouting out here, Leslie here. Yeah. Chris checking in, Mary checking in, Laurent checking in. This is great. Million apparently just sitting around thinking about Tanya. Me too. happens. I get it. So let's hop into it a little bit real quick, Hosea. Man, where should we begin? I want to know about your story. I think it's important before we get into all the household goods specific stuff, and before we get into U.S. flag waivers and ports and traffic and all the stuff that we get paid to do, I want to talk about you, the person, because that's really, I mean, I was a client of yours for a long time. Did a stellar job for me.
Thank you.
I'm blessed and honored now that you're a client of mine. But I want to talk about you, the person, because that's really the story that I fell in love with, man. So tell me a little bit about how you got in, like, tell me your moving journey. Tell me about your history in the moving business.
Well, you know, I kind of stumbled into this industry. When I got out of the Navy, my goal was to go to work for Boeing. I thought, you know, having the aviation experience, and I get to Seattle, and things didn't work out, you know, and I'm like, I got to find a job here sooner or later. And I saw an ad for American Red Ball, Atlas International.
I remember American Red Ball.
Yeah. So that was my start. You know, I started there, 95. I'm pretty old here, you know, and, you know, I worked there for 3 years, and I wanted to get into the sales side of things, and they didn't have a sales department. So I ended up at Mitchell Moving, an Atlas agent in Seattle here, and came in as a COD sales guy and worked my way up to president of the company.
What is a COD sales guy for people that don't know?
Well, I was doing international leads, you know, selling international. I did some domestic, you know, I sold whatever I could, you know, I mean, that's just the way it worked. And started really digging into the international side.
Going into people's home, counting furniture, giving people a bid to move on, like just entry level stuff.
Entry level stuff, you know. But the goal was to start the international department at Mitchell. So we finally got around to that, and we just started growing that international department, you know. And like I said, I worked my way up to president of the company, and we had a really nice international department.
How did you do that, Hosea? Because there's a lot of people that are kind of stuck maybe in the job they're in, or maybe kind of middle management or whatever. How did you rise to the ranks of, president of the company?
Well, it just all fell into place for me. As I grew with the company, those positions started becoming open. People started retiring, and I had a great relationship with the owner, and when the GM and when the president retired, I just went to him and said, "Hey, I'm your guy." And I started out as a GM and just kept going until I got to president. But in the meantime, I was still running that international department. That was a huge department for us. I built it from the ground up. We had our GSA approvals, we had everything, and that was where I was at. But I always wanted my own company. Just didn't know how to go about making those steps to do so. So,
which I think a lot of people are there, right? I think a lot of people
absolutely
have these dreams, and gosh, honey, wouldn't it be cool if, or what the world needs? They need X, Y, Z, and but so many people are stuck, and I read my kids' book, Dr. Seuss book, and they talk about the waiting place, and it's like we're stuck in the waiting place, right? Yeah. And it's so hard to get unstuck, man. Like, what was that for you that unstuck you?
My liver transplant.
Wow.
After going through that, being sick that whole year and a half up until getting the transplant.
Your liver, what happened? I mean, if you don't mind sharing.
I had Crohn's and colitis disease, when I got out of the Navy, and, I was on medication, doing scope surgeries every year, but the day the doctor diagnosed me with that, he says, 20 years from now, you're going to need a liver transplant. And I was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. I kind of blew him off, but 20 years to that year, he just says, hey, I can't do any more scope surgeries to open up the bile duct tube anymore. We got to let it run its course. We're going to put you on a liver transplant list.
And so your liver was failing at that point?
It was failing, yes.
Wow.
It was pretty bad the day of the surgery. I didn't know how bad it was because honestly, I was so sick and so afraid to stop working. I was still trying to work. I just thought if I stop, I'm going to die. So I kept every morning getting up, trying to go to work, maybe fall asleep at my desk or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
But I just had to keep going.
They talk about dying at your desk, They talk about that, right? I mean, they talk about like you don't want to die at your desk.
No, I didn't want to die at my desk, but I felt like if I just gave in to it, and just succumbed to being sick, it wouldn't end up well for me. So I just kept going. And so fortunately in 2012 in October 16th, I received another liver. And just going through that and, getting back on my feet and going back to work, it was time to say, stop thinking about it and put a plan together. And I did. And I finally got my wife on board. That's a big step, to just, let that go. But my wife, she's so amazing, man. I tell you, just love her to death. She's an amazing person, So fellas, don't forget to tell your wife how amazing they are. I know we get busy and everything, because I know for a lot of us, wasn't for our lives would be a train wreck. Mm-hmm. So that's right. Tell your wife how much you love her and how amazing she is.
That's right. And honestly, I mean, for me, that was like probably the biggest breaking point for me, or turning point or inflection point, was when my wife said, honey, like, okay, go do it. Like I told her, I said, I'm going to go into work today, and there's a good chance I walk out without a job.
Yeah.
Just like, is that cool? And she's like, yeah, do whatever you got to do. Yeah. And I was like, wow, she finally believes in me. It took years to get to that point.
I know.
She finally believes in me, and I'm like, well, if she believes in me, then I'm good to go.
Yeah. And so once my wife was on board, I started putting the plans together to make a move, and you know, it all worked out in 2017. Opened up Aaversal, excuse me, and just started building and growing and pushing it, you know, and it's been a lot of work, man. You know, a lot
Did
of
you have some
sleepless nights.
Did you have some key clients that really helped you jump
Yes,
off?
yeah, you know, so my great friend Andrew from CNN, from Turner, he came with me, of course.
Shout out Andrew Jackson.
Andrew Jackson, yeah, you
Good
know,
dude. It's gonna be on the program this month.
great.
Awesome dude.
Okay, great. And, you know, a lot of counts. And then, you know, Ben, you know, especially thanks to you helping me get, you know, just the few words or the words of encouragement, helping me get accounts on board, you know, and, you know, here we are now, you know, in a
Yeah.
spin, in reverse now, you know, I'm one of your
Yeah.
clients.
Well, dude, you know, the thing is, man, like we just traded hats, right? But we've always helped each other, right? And I think
Right.
that's one of the things I've always loved about you, man, is like even, you know, even when I guess technically I was your client, right? Like I always felt like it was a partnership. We were in it together. We succeeded together, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And honestly, being your client, you know, for years, you know, I was so impressed always with the responsiveness because I had used a bunch of forwarders. Like I had used like half dozen forwarders,
Right.
right? And it would take sometimes 2 days, sometimes it would take 2 weeks to get a quote back, you know,
Yeah.
and your team was giving it to me in 2 hours,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the prices were always the best.
Yeah.
And there were no issues. And if I need you to get on the phone with somebody and explain something to a transferee or to a client or whatever, you would do that. So you were like an extension of my team in that regard. So you were
Right.
faster, cheaper, better. I mean, and when I said, you know, to myself, like, hey, I need to go out on my own and I want to represent the best and brightest companies in the space, the best kept secrets. I mean, you were literally probably the first company that came to mind because I'm
Right.
like, how do people not know about this guy? How is everybody not using Aaversal? I mean, honestly, like that's what I was thinking to myself. I was like, I could sell the pants off that company because I believe in it so thoroughly. I've seen it and I've you know and I've seen what you guys can do and it's just how the partnership is incredible and I think that's why you've been so successful
Yeah.
you know in the last year or two and so anyway so we got a question here coming in here and I want to here shout out my dad's checking in here. That's
Hey.
awesome. Hopefully see you tomorrow, Dad. Let's see here. Very best working for Tanya on policy. Mary says, Hosea, what is the most important role as president of the company? What's the most important role? What's that number one thing for you? I always like to challenge myself to make a to-do list of one thing. Make a to-do list of one thing. What is that one thing that is most important for you?
You know, for me, it's always about the team. You know, I just think the team needs to understand where you're at, where you're coming from, what the expectations are. You know, because you know you can't be sending bad messages or whatever. They need to know. And even at Mitchell, and even now, I can guarantee everyone on the team, they know what to expect from me, and I know what to expect from them. And so we communicate well. We have our meetings. You know, if there's an issue, they're not afraid to come to me. You know that hey, we got a problem. Let's get it fixed. You know, so
You
I
know,
just
that's
think
one thing I do
the
like. That's one thing
team runs that. You know,
that's one thing I like about your style too, Jose, is you're super even keel like that. Like I think that was one of my downfalls as a leader was that sometimes I'd be real high, sometimes it'd be low, sometimes it'd be hot, sometimes it'd be cold, you know. And I feel like you're like kind of real, like you're real steady. And I feel like that is people need that in a leader, you know.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that I think that's the military. You know, it's just kind of everything happens so fast. You just got to go. Okay, this is what's going on, and you got to keep moving.
So I'm gonna take Mary's question. I'm gonna add a little bit on top. So as a company that is growing quickly, Versal Global Relocation has grown a lot in the last, what do you say, 4 years now? You guys have been in business.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage that growth? Because it's grown a lot, right?
You know, right now it's hard to manage due to COVID. It is because I don't know what to expect. It's really tough. You know, I mean, you know, normally each January you can reach out to your accounts and kind of get some type of number on bookings for the year. You can't do that now. So even though we're bringing on new accounts, I still don't know what to expect. So, you know, as I told the team today, don't panic, you know, help is on the way, you know, but I need to see what's going to happen first, you know, before I can start bringing in help. You know, I mean, I need to know what I'm bringing in help for. So it's, you know, we've never been in a situation like this ever, you know, so
Well,
these are
yeah,
just
because
tough
at
times.
least you know, normally you know, okay, summer's coming, let's ramp up for summer, or there's fiscal year, you know,
Right,
October 1st. Like you know what these
right.
start and stops are going to look like, and you know what you have to staff for, and you know what the ups and downs are going to look like. But we're kind of down, especially on international. I mean,
Exactly, right.
down, I don't know what, 90%. I mean, that's what
I
I'm hearing
mean,
from my clients.
every RMC is down. Some of them are just basically at zero
Hmm.
right now. But you just got to go. Okay, when is that going to break open, and how do I prepare for that? You know,
Hmm.
I mean, no one knows right now. Hopefully, we get some type of heads up as they, you know, the numbers begin to come in. You know.
I want to ask you about this, and we got some people checking in here, and this is awesome. I'd love to hear your questions as well. Chuck White checking in, two of my favorite people. Love Chuck.
Chuck.
Chuck's going to be on the program this month as well. Love Chuck and what you've done for the industry and how you advocate for the industry, Chuck. Chuck's one of those guys. I mean, I talk about it like he's one of those guys. I mean, he's the president of the association, the International
Right.
Association of Movers. But you feel like he's your buddy, your friend, your
Yeah.
advocate.
Yeah.
You can
He's a
pick up the
great
phone
guy,
with
man.
Chuck and just be like, "Hey, Chuck, I'm having an issue." He's almost like he'll solve it for you. He's that kind of dude. And
He's
so
a great guy.
appreciate you, Chuck, for sure. Um, I want to ask you though about, oh gosh, we got people checking in over here. I mean, Mary Lee Bratt, hello, Ben Jose. Hey, leave those comments in here. I want to get your questions in here. Mary Lee, Mario, Chuck, Mary, Dad, Tanya, any questions on household goods or anything going on? Let me know here. Mario, hey, Jose, amazing life story. Love to connect with you sometime.
Hey, Mario.
What has networking been like in this business? Mario's shouting out the wife comment. But what has networking been like for you over the last 4 years, and how have you kind of grown your network, and what has that been like for you, that experience?
Well, the last year has been a lot different than the other previous years. I can tell you that. But you know, I try to make the best of these conferences. You know, be ready to have meetings at these conferences. You know, be ahead of the game. Try to schedule as many meetings as possible. Meet people. Have that conversation with them. You know, I mean, sometimes it's not all about trying to gain business, but actually getting to know individuals. You know, who they are, what they do, what they like, what they dislike.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what builds relationships and partnerships. You know, I mean, um,
Yeah.
you know, from
No,
the
I mean
time
it's
that
true. It's true, but they don't always like to tell you. In fact, Valerie's got a question here regarding that. I'd love to hear all your questions, so leave them down there. Valerie McKenzie says, "What was one of the largest challenges you faced in starting your own company in the household goods sector?" I mean, Valerie, was part of a group that started Deluxe Suites, and so she's going through that on the corporate housing side. I'm sure, Valerie, I'd love to hear your experiences. But Jose, what was one of the largest challenges you faced in starting your own company in household goods?
you know, I would say I, there's a couple of things. One was basically, you know, financing. I thought I had enough financing, but you know, that was a challenge. And then, you know, because nobody's ready to give you a loan on a new company, you know.
That is so true.
Yeah,
People forget that.
yeah,
And you've got to flow capital, right? I mean, you've got to float
exactly.
receivables and everything.
Right. And so when you're reaching out to these accounts saying, hey, you know, I'm looking for payment, they think you're just trying to bug them, but you know, you really need that money to spin around and come back in because, you know, your vendors are saying, I don't care, you know, I want to get paid. That and this really getting the Versal out there, you know, I mean, just really getting the name out there, getting people to believe in you, to trust in you. Um, that was the challenge, you know.
There is a notion in this business. I remember coming in as a new guy, right? There is a belief that from people that have been in the business for decades that I already know everybody in this business. If they were good, I'd know about them. I don't know about them, therefore they must not be any good.
Right.
Right? There's this belief, and it makes it really hard for new entrants to come in, especially people that maybe didn't have a huge personal brand before. Like, Val, Val, Chris, and Barb over there at Deluxe Suites, I mean, you guys are a great example of people that had a big personal brand. So when you went out and did Deluxe, I mean, y'all had a lot of momentum going into it. But if you, like Hosea, in your situation, right, you were the GM and president of the company, and you're not necessarily out there beating the street like me and Dano were, right? So I mean, because you're back, you're back there running steering the ship, right? And so I imagine when you kind of went out there and you started to present yourself and Aaversal's capabilities, it might have taken a little bit more time to get that momentum built.
Right.
What was some of the momentum builders for you? Do you remember points in time or inflection points in the 4-year history of your company that have really been momentum builders for you?
Well, one thing that really helped out a lot was the network of agencies that we are using now. I was using at Mitchell. So they already knew of me, my character, who I am, what we're all about. And so that really helped out, in getting credit terms established with a lot of agencies. So that helped tremendously, And so, it's just work. It's always work. I mean, no matter what happens here, you're going to be continuously working, moving forward, trying to push the envelope further down the street,
Yeah. And Milton says here, Hosea, I appreciate you building a real relationship with me.
Yeah.
What do you think it is though about, I mean, I don't know, man. When I first met you, I felt like I connected with you pretty instantly.
Yeah. It wasn't just a Dallas Cowboy connection, was it?
I didn't even know about that. I don't even think I knew about that right off. I think for me, I felt like I was sitting across the table from a guy that his word was good, and then you said you was going to do something and you did it, and I could hold you accountable. And
right.
I mean, it's surprising.
That's huge.
But why is that so? But it's so funny. But why is that so huge? Like, I feel like that's like table stakes, right? Like, why is that like so revelatory? Why is that so like amazing? I feel like that should be, to me, in a weird way, I feel like that should be, everybody should be like that.
Well, everybody wants to try to hold themselves accountable, and you give your best effort, but accountability, trust. I mean, you gotta bring that to the table, and I think everything else kind of falls into place after that,
Yeah, Maury Stevens says greetings from the Great North. What's up, Maury? How you doing, buddy? Good to see you, miss you, man. Karen Mendez, good day from Down Under.
Down Under, yeah.
Hey, Karen. Karen's from CSIRO. She's also the host of Working World podcast, The Working World, which is super cool branding, which I am looking forward to hopefully being on soon once I figure out my relocation situation. Chuck says, thanks for the kind words, but both of you really are my friends. Yeah, Chuck, love you, man. Let's see here. We got some cool comments here. Val saying, yes, the belief and the trust are essential for sure. Chuck actually wants to know, you get this question a lot. Why the name Aaversal?
Well, I knew eventually I was going to be a GSA approval, get my approval. Yeah. I thought, the AA, I had to have that,
Yeah.
And in the military, we always talk about being, you got to be versatile, you got to, and I'm like, I just want something to grab that name, So, Versal kind of popped up, and, I'm like, oh, let me just run with that. AA. Yeah. There's nothing magic to it, but that's.
Hey, you know what? It's funny. I work for a company called 1-800-PACK-RAT, and every time I was exhibiting at a conference, we were the first company listed in the directory. And there's something to be said for that, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's great. I love
that's where we sit on the tariff now, so it's pretty good,
So maybe Aaversal, the first name in international relocation. Vinny Valverde, hi gents, so amazing seeing you both. Man, Vinny's an all-time.
Man, Vinny can cook. You ever see what he's on Facebook?
Bro, stop playing, man. I'm trying to get him on the show, man, so we can cook, man. Hosea, what should Vinny and I cook, man? You went there. What should Vinny and I cook?
Oh, man. Did you see the beef jerky he made the other day?
The teriyaki joint? The teriyaki beef jerky?
I almost got in my car and drove to Portland, but
Vinny, we might need something more exciting than beef jerky. That'd be a long show.
Yeah.
Vinny, put in there. What are we going to cook, man? Throw it in the comments. Everybody vote. Tell us what Vinny and I should cook. Vinny and Benny in the kitchen. We're going to do a Love and Reload special on it. It's going to be amazing. Put it in the comments. I want to know. Let's see here. Mario says, my question for Jose is, what do you think the corporate relocation space will look like going forward? I know for us as a company, it's been a challenge as we've lost quite a few key corporate accounts last year, and know we've had to pivot our business model to the government contracting space. Wow.
That's a great question. Yeah, you know, I think it's just going to depend on the account itself. You know, what's their strategy, what they want to do. You know, I mean, we still did some corporate traffic last year, but it was tremendously down in a lot of spaces with a lot of RMCs. You know, even on the domestic small shipment program was down quite a bit. You know, because people just didn't move. It just wasn't safe to do so. A lot of countries, the actual port itself was closing down. But now on the second go around, when things started shutting down, they didn't really shut down the way they did the first time. So we're still seeing delays, but nobody's really shut down, you know. So that's a good thing, you know. So, but as far as the corporate relocations, you know, it's going to be hard to say. I mean, I think we'll know more the next 3 or 4 months. I think you'll see an uptick, but how much it's going to be hard to say.
When are you going to start? When are we going to start seeing that uptick, in your opinion?
I think in the next 3 or 4 months. You know, I mean, seeing a little bit now, not much, but I think as more people get vaccinated and we kind of move toward that herd immunity that everybody's keep talking about, I think it's going to put that safety net out there where everybody's comfortable and says, okay, these people that we've hired and now we're ready to move them. They're ready to move. They feel safe about moving. You know, that's when you're gonna see it. You know, so end of April, May, I'm guessing.
Let me ask you this: what countries are you seeing that are open right now that people are kind of moving to rather freely versus, what countries are kind of closed off?
Well, you know, and we had just had one where Israel, the client can't get in due to COVID. So some of them still have more stricter variants than you know, let's say here in the United States, you know, or Europe.
So what's the process coming into the U.S.? What are the requirements for somebody coming in?
Well, you know, depends on. I mean, you know, if they're U.S. citizens, of course they can come home. But if they're non-U.S. citizen, you know, if they have the visa and everything, I think the requirements are, and I'm not quite sure on the U.S. citizens coming into the U.S. if they're still doing the 10-day, the 14-day quarantine, you know.
And some of that's on a state-by-state basis too.
Yeah. And
you go down south, and it's a whole different ball game. Trust me, I drove through Missouri on the way to Texas, and they couldn't spell COVID down there. And it was icy. Yeah, I had to hold my pee like 100 miles to get to like a major city, just because I wasn't trying to catch the COVID, you know. But anyway, that's a whole nother transportation topic right here. Mario, your question on what does the corporate relocation space look like going forward? You know what? Great question, Jose. I know that you were mentioning to me earlier about government shipments being strong, right? Government traffic. You guys do a lot of government, right?
Right. Well, the government doesn't require any visas, and that's the problem right now. You know, until these visas places open up and they're able to start processing visas. Some places are, some are not. That's another delay as well. You know.
Yeah. You know, Mario, you know, I think when it comes back, it's going to come back big. We've got a lot, at least in the near term, because there's so much pent up demand right now. There's so many pent up shipments that are, you know, I was talking to some of these large companies, and they've got sometimes like 1,500 reloads on hold. You know, and so I think you're going to see, and Jack actually commented on this regarding corporate housing. You know, the same thing's going to be in any area where there's a finite amount of resources. It could be men in trucks, it could be, you know, accommodations, it could be anything where there's a finite supply. You're going to see when it comes back, it's going to come back pretty big, and advanced booking times are going to be key and critical, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Towards the end of the summer, I think Hosea says 3 to 4 months. I could see it kind of being more Q3, Q4, Q1 of next year.
Mhm.
I think the vaccine rollout has been a lot slower than I think we'd have hoped.
Yeah.
And so I think there's some of that. But man, when it comes back and people start feeling, you see people move in herds, and they move out of work in herds, and they're going to move into work in herds.
Right.
And I think that when they move into work in herds, you're going to start seeing things pick up. It's going to pick up pretty rapidly. So if that hits during the normal summer peak season, it could be catastrophic.
Could be.
I tend to think it's going to fall more in Q3, Q4 in the fall and winter, which actually could be kind of nice for our business because our business is kind of cyclical, and those are the kind of troughs typically. So it'll be interesting. Mario, I'd love to hear what you've done. It says it sounds like you pivoted more into government contracting. Is that government contracting outside of moving and relocation, or is it like buildings, janitorial? Like what does that mean exactly? I'm kind of curious. Dan was saying, yeah, so true. Thinking you know everything. I was using the Hoover vacuum until I found out about the Central Vac. Chuck's talking about them Cowboys. What's up? We got a franchise tag Dak again, or what? What's going on?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh my goodness, man. We're gonna have to go see a Cowboy game once we get a vaccine. William Wiggins, hello, Hosea. One of my favorite people.
Hey,
yeah,
that's a great guy right there.
Another great guy, man. The things he does for those kids in Uganda with Mercy Joy Ministries. I encourage everybody to go check out Mercy Joy Ministries.
Absolutely.
Adopt a child of their sponsor, someone get through vocational school. Erica, yes, we need that live cooking show. Yes, we do. What are we going to cook, Erica? We're going to cook ribs. I mean, I've heard worse ideas. Than ribs. I've heard some people saying jerky. I mean, I think ribs make a lot more sense, to be honest with you. Emily Kozabowski, hi, Ben and Hosea. Always great to listen and learn as we close out the business day. Show Elizabeth in Connecticut. Tanya has a question. I love Tanya's question. Appreciate your sharing about the importance of building relationships. What else are you doing differently to win business and grow during these difficult times for so many companies?
Service. We just continue to.
But what does that mean? I'm going to push back, right? Because people say service, and service to me is too generic.
Okay. I think our biggest customer service that we do best is response time. I think our team communicates very, very well. As you know, rates, we get great reviews. People call, hey, man, thanks for getting this rate back so fast.
Mm-hmm.
I take pride in getting these rates back to the RMC or whoever requesting it as soon as I can, and I think it's very important because they're trying to initiate a move, and I want to win that business. Also,
and people like Tanya are trying to come back maybe to someone to provide them a budget, maybe someone that's got a managed cap, maybe they're going to the hiring manager in that organization, say, hey, it's going to cost you $20,000 to move so-and-so, just so you know, put in the offer letter, whatever. So, I mean, that response time was critical. Yeah, I said this earlier, and I mean this, man. Like, we were forwarding through the van line at one point, and literally, dude, it was taking 2 weeks to get a quote back.
Never happened.
I know we were losing so much business, especially on the COD side, where people were antsy and they were just going somewhere else. I mean, and then when we started getting our quotes back from you guys in like 2 hours, I mean, we probably went from closing like 10% of those to probably closing 30%, probably 3x our closing percentage for our COD people.
Right.
So I mean, are you seeing the same thing with your? I mean, is that what they're telling you?
I mean, we don't do much COD, but on the RMC side, I mean, we're seeing more volume because we're getting the rates back, and we're corresponding with the clients. We're counseling the clients for them in a timely manner, and also if there is any issues or delays, we're communicating with them immediately, not 5 or 6 days down the road, to let them know what's going on, because we're at a time right now where we're going to hit roadblocks, plenty of them, whether it's port congestion, shortage of truckers, shortage of equipment, the container decides to take a extra port stop, I mean, it's people don't even know about that.
People don't even know about that right now either. Like, I mean, all the issues that are happening in transportation. I mean, I think that we assume that like container ships run like buses, like, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
like, you know, like they're predictable and stuff. I mean, they're not. I mean, if people understood the amount of, you know, variance that these, I mean, people, like you just mentioned something, decide to make an extra port stop. Like that's like getting on an airplane and I'm gonna fly from Detroit to Dallas with a layover in Nashville. And instead I go Detroit, Nashville. Hey, you know, we're gonna stop in Atlanta. Like what? Like that wasn't on the itinerary, like that, and then we're gonna go to Dallas. Like that's,
you know,
that's crazy.
Or they just missed the transload because it got delayed due to another issue, you know. So there's so many things that can, you know, delay a container, you know. But it's important for us to, you know, get that information and get it over to the account and to the client as soon as possible. And that's what we strive to do, you know.
Yeah.
So everybody's aware.
I want to ask you too, like help people understand too, people sitting in Tanya's chair, right, on the corporate side. Help people understand what are some of the challenges you faced from the cost, like job costing, like the cost of airline shipping, the cost of ocean shipping. I mean, what is that cost environment been like?
Well, I mean, there was one point, and it still is for air shipments. The air rates, you know, in some cases and in some traffic lanes, almost tripled in some cases. It was pretty bad. It's been settled down a little bit now, but it's still quite expensive for air freight shipments, you know.
And just so everybody knows, I'm sorry to interrupt, but just so everybody knows, you know, typically when somebody relocates overseas, they get an air shipment, which is like their personal effects, like their clothes and some of the stuff they need immediately, and then they get an ocean container with like all their other stuff, furniture, etc. So there's kind of like two shipments typically.
Right.
Okay.
And then, you know, like right now, the traffic lane from Asia to Europe, you know, it's almost triple. You know, it went from $3,000 to almost it's 8,500 up to $9,000.
How do you quote that? How do you quote somebody with that kind of volatility?
Well, that's why we have to make sure we go out and, you know, and say, hey, you know, give me your rate now. And then I just happen to look back on the previous shipments and I'm like, I go back to him and go, is this correct? Is this ocean freight correct? And he goes, yeah, this is what it's costing right now, you know?
So do you go to your clients and tell them, like, I mean, how do you have that conversation?
Well, you just
people don't like hearing that.
You just, well, you know, they have an option of, you know, canceling the move or, you know, which they don't. They just say, okay, that's what it is, you know. But, you know, like on some of the air freight rates, you know, we might get a one. They say this is good for 24 hours or 48 hours only because it's changing so dramatically.
Meanwhile, how long does it take to get approval to move somebody, right? Like if they come to you, they want a quote on Monday. You turn around, you give them a quote on Monday.
But
when do they send you authorization?
We let them know that, hey, this is, you know, due to COVID and the, you know, volatility of the airlines right now, this rate is only good for 24 hours. And, you know, we can always go back and, you know, tinker it and see what the new numbers are going to look like, you know. Sometimes, I mean, some of them that even the cost even dropped a little bit, you know. So and then of course it's space available only, so it's not moving in your standard, you know, 8 to 12 days, you know, from A to B anymore, you know, because there's less flights.
Yeah, this is so interesting. I'd love to know, Tanya and my corporate friends out there, Vinny and Jack, and some of the folks that are watching this right now, maybe your RMC folks or whatever, like. How would you deal with those fluctuating costs? You know, if you get a quote on Monday and it's, you know, 10 grand, and then you come back to them on Thursday and you authorize it and they say, well, that quote was good for 24, 48 hours, you know, and now the airline's coming to me and saying it's going to be 14 grand or whatever the number is, you know, do you say, okay, do you say, show me some documentation? Do you say, well, now I have to reconsider the whole thing? Now I have to go out to bid again? Because guess what? You go out to bid again, same thing's going to happen if you take 4 days to authorize it. Because that's the other thing. Our RMCs and our mobility managers, they don't always realize that, like, well, if you would have told me on Monday we were good, we could have booked it on Monday and it would have been good. But you waited 4 days or a week or 4 weeks.
Right.
Crazy stuff, you know, and things change. So I'd love to hear from our clients out there how they would handle that situation. Are they going to be understanding, or are they going to be like, because you can't move it for that. So it's like, you're not going to do the business at a loss. I mean,
no.
You know what I'm saying? So love to hear your thoughts out there. We got some people checking in here. Milton saying all of my diplomatic relocations are either 10 or 14-day quarantines.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Milton saying because our initiatives are mission critical, we've had to work with Ministry of Foreign Affairs to get long-term visa approval.
Right.
No, that's fascinating, dude. I can't wait to have you on and ask you more questions about this stuff.
Yeah.
Chuck's always trying to get some free ribs. So that's good. Turkey too. They're hungry in Northern Virginia out there. So let's see. Janet's got a question. See, Janet's a forwarder actually.
Mm-hmm.
Janet, let's tee this up actually properly here. Janet, everybody knows Janet here, but you may not know that Janet had her own household goods forwarding business from 1992 to 2014. To be honest, I'm happy to be employed now, especially for a company that encourages an entrepreneurial approach. So right. Janet was running her own shop for a while there, and Janet's got a question here and says, is there any country you do not or prefer not to ship to where customs is a nightmare? What are the worst countries in the world to ship to? Just put it out there.
Well, the South American countries, they're just delayed. It just takes it's very time consuming to clear customs, and I'm talking, up to 25 days. And there's, your demurrage and your port storage. And so we always, of course, let the accounts be known and let the client know, hey, this is what's going to happen on the back end of this thing. Once the container arrives, the customs process is, the Brazils and the Argentinas, it's a process, and you're not going to move them any faster than they're not going to move faster.
There's no amount of hand wringing and gnashing of teeth and name calling that can get something moved faster in Brazil.
No.
Vinny saying, Jose, do not mention Brazil. Oh yeah, Vinny.
Sorry, Vinny.
Sorry, buddy, man. You knew what it was, Vinny. You knew what it was.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Chuck saying Wise Enterprises, they were amazing to work with. Let's see here. Mary Lee, relationships and trust with your household good provider is key. A household goods provider that knows your company policies in and out and holds the line and consults well with assignees and spouses to limit exceptions or added costs, communications, timelines, etc. Well, anticipates issues in advance and provides an advance heads up with solutions are rock stars. Yeah. They keep things off our plate to focus on more strategic global mobility matters.
Right.
Yeah, Mary Lee, you're right. Now, I guess my flip side question though is how much leeway do you give or how much trust do you put in them? If you can have that relationship where there is truly trust, and Hosea, we know what these clients are. There's clients that trust us, there's clients that we trust, and there's clients where there just isn't trust.
Right.
It moves so much differently. It's so interesting. Jack says we have direct contracts with contracted pricing, so we handle as exception. So we would review reason for increase and then approve if that makes sense. How would this work, Hosea? I mean, he says we have direct contracts with contracted pricing, but if ocean TEUs are fluctuating and airlines are fluctuating, I mean, I don't know.
That's just like with the government.
Rates, though. Yeah, I was going to say you follow.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like with GSA. One while they had the over and above pricing for COVID, 5% 1 minute, 10%, and even though they've taken that away now, but I mean, that helped a little, but there was a few times we had to go back and explain to the government, hey, this is what's going on and this is what's going to cost. And we had no issues getting the additional cost approved, and I don't have an issue providing the supporting documents,
right,
to show them,
show them the ocean bill, show them the air bill,
right,
yeah, for sure. Vinny's saying the biggest thing, in my opinion, is no surprises. We know things can change without notice, but let us know if the cost is significantly different than the quote provided. Say that we would be very understanding as long as the information is provided timely. What do you think about that, Jose?
Well, I mean, that's pretty much the way it is. You let them know in a timely manner. As soon as we find out.
When do you find out? Do you find out you find out when you book it, or do you find out when it's on the boat? When do you find out?
Oh no, we'll know well before it starts moving that what the new cost is.
So
Especially
you
once
give
the
people
shipment
enough.
is packed and loaded, and hey, let's finalize this cost before we move this thing, and then we
Yeah.
have options.
I want to ask you a question. I want to switch. Well, yeah. You know what? I'm gonna actually let's get in. Let's get into. You like playing games, Hosea?
Let's do that.
You like playing games, Hosea?
Let's go for it.
Yeah. All right. Let's play some games here. So we doing this segment now. It's called a top five, right? And Hosea's top five is actually it's super international household goods. I'm gonna call it kind of nerdy. It's an international household goods nerd out session here on ocean shipping. Okay. And a lot of people don't actually know anything about this. Some of the stuff we're talking about, Hosea, frankly, people are like, listen, don't even bother me with this. I don't know anything about it. Don't ask, don't tell, just get it there. Don't raise my price. If you do raise my price, tell me about it, but don't raise my price. That's what most people, how they deal with their international household goods. Let's go ahead and throw this top five up there. Let's see what this is about. Top five issues with U.S. flag requirements. So first, let's define this, Hosea. People are like, U.S. flag, I got one hanging outside. What's a U.S. flag requirement? Like, what does that mean? Like, take it in when it rains, fold it right? What does that mean, U.S. flag requirements?
Okay, so this applies to the government shipments that we do, So if we need to send a shipment non-U.S. flag, we have to get a waiver, and we have to send that in to MARAD, which is the Maritime Administration.
Okay.
So under the Department of Transportation. So
got it.
They will deny or approve the waiver. Most of the time they will deny it, which causes further issues.
So you're saying that every shipment sent for the United States government has to be on a U.S. flag vessel. And U.S. flag is kind of like an allusion to the old days where they actually flew flags on boats, and maybe they still fly flags on boats. Like, you got the pirate ship, you got the U.S. boat, whatever. And I might have to watch Pirates of the Caribbean tonight, teach my son about ocean maritime.
Yeah.
But so anyway, so it has to be a U.S. flag. And so that means U.S. owned shipping company?
They carry, they are approved as a U.S. flag carrier. I mean, and those are the same vessels that support our military, take care of moving, tanks and stuff like that, if when needed. And so we have to use those same vessels to move our government containers.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. Now this is interesting because we're already getting comments on this. Let me know, by the way, if you're watching this, or Chuck White, if you're out there, Jan Eames, shipping experts out there. Let us know what your thoughts are on this. William Wiggins said this is a pain in the rear. DNA, is that do not ask?
No, that's the waiver we was talking about.
Oh, the DNA.
That's what they call it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the waivers do not ask. I like it. MARAD is a nightmare to deal with right now. Wow.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting. Very interesting. All right. So let's find out. People were like, okay, Hosea, what's this got to do with me? Why do I care about your problem? Fix it, right? I can hear my man Jack Jampel right now. He's like, that's what I pay you for, right? I was like, fix it, right? I got contracted rates. Make it happen.
These are taxpayers' dollars that's being used here. That's why everybody should be concerned.
Yeah. And this does not, and just to be clear, this does not apply to, Vinny's Nike shipments or Tanya's Expedias or Jack Strikers, right? This is only applies to federal government, like Williams shipments, right? And it applies to, does it apply to U.S. military?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it applies to all. So, I mean, that's a lot of shipments. Okay. All right. So tell me the top 5 issues with U.S. flag requirements. Number 5.
Transit times.
There you go. Transit times.
Give you a quick example. Quick example. New Jersey to Nassau, 40-foot can. Non-U.S. flag, 12 days, direct sale. U.S. flag, 53 days.
What? You said 12 days for a regular boat, a non-U.S. flag. That means any boat.
Non-U.S. flag, MSC, whoever, 12 days, direct sale.
12 days, direct.
U.S. flag, New Jersey, Spain, Portugal, Freeport, Nassau.
going all the way over.
The problem I have with
ocean.
that
And
is
it
where's
comes
the
back to
duty of
that.
care for the client? You know, I mean, this guy's got to wait that long for his stuff.
53 days.
53 days.
Not
Now,
including trucking it to the port and trucking it from the port. 53 days at sea.
on the water. Okay. Cost. Non-US flag, $3,700. US flag, $10,440.
Well, of course, because you're shipping it all over God's green earth. Of course, it's going to cost four times as much.
Okay.
And not only is that, but I'm also thinking about my corporate folks over here, because in William, right, and they're over here paying for corporate housing. They're over here paying for that person to be in corporate housing for extra month and a half when they could have been delivered in 12 days. Now they're paying for 53 days of corporate housing.
You know, I mean,
crazy. They're paying per diems. They're paying all that stuff.
I get the support for the U.S. flags, the carriers. I get that, but it's got to be a common balance there. You know, there's got to be. Why are we doing 3-4 legs? You know, they got to put some parameters on. Is all I'm getting at. You know, and that's where they. And you know, I know GSA and IAM is fighting for us, but man, it's not right for the clients. You know,
why does this exist? Why is this a requirement in the first place, Hosea? Like, devil's advocate here, like, I know it's ridiculous in practice, but why is this even a requirement?
Well, you know, I mean, you know, this is the MARA thing. You know, they're pushing it, and you know, I think Chuck can explain it better than I can.
Yeah,
you know,
Chuck, throw it in the comments, man. Help us make sense of this ridiculousness. I mean, is it like a safety and security thing, I'm guessing? Where they're like, you know, U.S., you know, military members and government members, stuff needs to be on U.S. flagships because we have some control.
Well, you know, I mean, they got to stay funded. You know, they got to stay in business. You know, I mean, we're not at war right now, so you know. But here's the thing, though: when you only have 72 U.S. flag vessels, that is not enough vessels to cover all the tonnage of the U.S. flag containers.
Right. William's saying that transit time costs ridiculous, not cost effective for government or good service for the client employee. All right, number four. Additional cost.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like kind of got ahead of yourself with that one. So give us the cost breakdown one more time, just of that.
So like and for that specific container, the non-US flag was $3,700, and the US flag cost was $10,440.
So that is six and change, 6.5 grand. Wow, incredible. Number 3, challenge of booking U.S. flag container. What does this mean?
Well, you know, when you're trying to book it with the Maersk or Hapag Lloyd or whoever, you know, most of them are on their websites, and so it's a nightmare trying to get a container booked. You know, it's not like you can. With some of your NVOCCs that we can book with, it could be a nightmare, man. I tell you.
You know what, Janice is probably to support American-owned companies and vessels. Can I just say something, Janet, about this? Right, you just named 2 companies, right? How many U.S. flag carriers are there?
72. The last I checked.
No, there's 72 boats.
Vessels, right? Yeah.
How many carriers are brand companies?
Well, you know, I mean, that's quite a few companies. I can't remember exactly. But
okay,
those are the main 3.
You just named 2.
Okay.
You named Maersk. Where's Maersk headquarters? It's like Denmark, isn't it?
Yeah.
Denmark. I think it's Denmark. You can fact check me, Google it, whatever. Throw it in the comments. Maersk headquarters is in Denmark. Where's Hapag Lloyd's headquarters? Germany.
Right. Yeah.
I believe it's in Germany. Now their U.S. flag headquarters, got to know the CEO or the former CEO, used to be in Tampa. Okay, but they're not U.S. based companies. Like, that's kind of the irony to me, is there's U.S. flag carriers, but they're like they're not really U.S. based companies. They're based in Denmark. They're based in Germany. They're based where they would have been based if they weren't U.S. flags. So it's like, really, how much is really? I mean, it just seems really ridiculous to me. William says it's a law that hasn't been followed or enforced for years by the U.S. government. Let's see here. I do not think they realize the implications on household goods and implications for transferee. Well, I mean, gosh golly, right? you shipping household goods or you're shipping PlayStations. Either way, it takes 40 days more than it needs to take.
Right, right.
Right? I mean, and then if you're not paying for the goods until they get there, if it's PlayStations, well, now that's 40 days more of cash flow. I mean, it just, did they think that there was going to be enough boats to support this? Because there's not. It's a law that is being enforced by MARAD.
MARAD, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So William, are you saying that this wasn't enforced for years and that has recently been enforced by MARAD?
Yeah, I mean, I would say over the last year or two, it's been heavily enforced, and it's causing us a nightmare. It's going to be very difficult, especially dealing with COVID and continue trying to book U.S. flag containers. These clients are not happy, man. When you give them the RDD, which we can't meet the RDD, required delivery date, that's out the window. They might as well just throw the transit guide away, because there's no way under the U.S. flag requirements that we're going to be able to meet the required delivery dates for these.
Right, and it's not a processing issue or an administrative issue on it's not because your coordinator's sitting on the file for 5 years.
Exactly, right.
It's on a boat and it's going to Spain before it comes to Nassau.
Yeah.
Williams says the law needs to be changed, or MARAD needs to change the approval process to allow more exceptions to the There you go.
Yep.
Number 2.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying earlier,
number of transit stops.
Spain, Portugal, Freeport, and then you're struggling to get it from Freeport just to Nassau. It's like,
and Nassau is just like
one
right
feeder
there.
vessel. Because it got the one feeder vessel, and it's just disastrous, man.
Are there any direct sales?
No, not U.S. flag. No.
It's like flying Southwest. You got to stop somewhere.
Pretty much.
I mean, because there's direct sales from Port of Baltimore to or Port of New York or Port of Miami. I mean, there's direct sales, but just doesn't seem like with U.S. flag vessels there are any.
I'll give you another quick example real quick, and I know we're running short on time. We had a shipment coming from Ireland to Boston, Port of Boston. MARAD will not sign off on the waiver. The closest they can get was Savannah,
Georgia.
Savannah, Georgia.
That's a southern. That's a southern suburb of Boston. I hear. I feel like these are also the top 3 St. Patrick's Day parades,
but we don't file rates like that. You know what I mean? Now we got to crank out more money just to get the container up to Boston.
How much? Give us an idea of what that additional cost is for you.
What is about $1,700, I believe, to get that container back up there,
Yeah, to ship a container from
well, what we ended up doing was just terminating, strip the container out and just truck the lift fans up. That was a lot easier. But
LTL it or something.
Yeah. It
makes sense.
But it's additional cost that we shouldn't have to pick up,
Yeah, more handling, more time, more labor costs. Either way you slice it.
More delays, yeah.
Alan's got the solution, all right? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a GoFundMe, okay? We're going to pitch in. We're going to buy a vessel or 2, okay? Maybe 3 if we're feeling crazy, right? Maybe we get this GameStop stock, going
exactly.
We'll get 3 vessels. I don't know. We're going to offer better rates and more efficient for U.S. military. If you want, we can headquarter in Germany at my office. Okay, here's the deal, Alan. Well, I love this, and I'll peel off $1,000 and put it towards the cause, right? I don't know what these boats are going for these days. I'm sure we can find a fixer-upper. But here's the thing, right? We buy a vessel or 2. I'll be damned if I'm lowering the prices. I don't need to. There's no competition. It goes from 72 boats to 73 boats. When we throw our boat in there, we don't need to lower the price. That's the problem, right? There's no competition. It's funny for a country that prides itself on a free market economy. There's no open competition. And that is why you get terrible service. Because there's no competition. There's nobody coming in and innovating.
Yeah.
William says you should invite GSA onto the show to discuss this topic in detail. I can suggest some context for you to invite. Go ahead and tag them. Tag them in the comments, William.
Yeah.
We'll do a little forum. We'll do a little U.S. flag forum here. We'll bring our flags. We'll wave them.
Make sure you have Chuck on that. Make sure you bring Chuck on with them.
Chuck, yeah, we'll do it. I'm sure we all want what's best for the members. Number 1.
Yeah.
Gotta say it.
72 vessels. 72.
Yeah. Not a
It's not
lot.
going to cut it, man.
It's not a lot of boats, and they
Nope.
got to go everywhere.
Not when you're trying to cover the world.
Yeah, yeah. My kid's battleship game has more boats than this. 72 boats. Yeah, it's just it's not gonna do it. Yeah. Um, Alan saying we just make it more efficient service. You ever seen an efficient ocean carrier? Those things move slower than molasses, man. Oh my goodness. GSA has been talking a lot about this issue. What are they going to do about it? I talk a lot too.
Yeah.
What are they going to do about it? Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Hosea, we are over our time, but there's something I want to talk about before we go here. And William Shotnut, Julie Blanford, and Chuck White. Yep. I want to talk about, this month, really, it's Black History Month, and what we're doing on the show is we're making space to have conversations with Black professionals in mobility. And one of the things I wanted to spotlight folks who are entrepreneurs who are actually Black-owned businesses. Mm-hmm. And when I started kind of like thinking in my head, okay, who are we going to have on? I mean, obviously you're top of the list, but it wasn't a very long list. No. It wasn't a long list at all, right? You, Brian Brooks, John Merriweather from Go, a couple of movers, I think Orlando at Peach Movers down in, they don't really do corporate business. Right. Ewing doesn't really do corporate business out of Memphis. There wasn't a lot. And if I'm missing any, please put it in the comments right now. Give them a shout out. How do we help Black professionals in this business move from employees to entrepreneurs? You did it. It wasn't easy, but how can we do that?
Wow, that's an amazing question. I think that as a Blacks, we got to stop being afraid. And we can't continue to blame society and for why we're afraid to move forward. I convinced my sister and her husband to open up their own company down in Texas, and they both retired. They're drug and alcohol counselors. That's what they did, working for the BOP, and now they're
Bureau of Prison.
Yeah, Bureau of Prison. Yes, and they're doing quite well. But to take that first step, they were like, I don't know, because it's just not something that a lot of Blacks want to do or don't have the know-how to do, And like I said earlier, who's going to help finance me? How I'm going to sell this thing to the bank,
That's a real conversation. I mean, you have a thriving, growing, healthy business.
Right.
How hard is it to get credit?
Well, personally, I think my credit is outstanding, but for the company, we'll see. I mean, I think we've done quite well so far, but to get these accounts, and most of them are paying pretty good, so we're good right now.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, Ben, man, it's going to take a lot. It's going to take shows like this, first of all, to have people understand. Hey, it's okay to take that leap of faith, to ask those questions, to do the research on how you want to pursue that goal, I'm telling you, it's the best day of my life of opening Aaversal. I'm gonna tell you. My wife might not agree with that, but she's on board. She's happy now.
Yeah.
I just told her, we'll be fine. We're gonna be all right.
Yeah. Well, you guys have been really blessed, and it's been a blessing to watch it and to be a small part of it. And I'm really excited for this year and the coming years. And I guess I want to thank everybody that tuned in today. But I want to leave you the opportunity, Hosea, maybe to just have a final thought or a final word for people.
Well, first of all, I appreciate everyone that's listening. Listening to my story.
Second best day. I think there's a wedding maybe or something.
Yeah. There you go. As I was saying, she's amazing. I want to thank everyone for, listening to my story. Ben, I want to thank you for just, your support and all the other people out there that have supported me, Dano, my amazing wife, just a lot of people, man. I can't even think of everyone right now, but it's just, it's fun. I'm looking forward to building our partnership, growing together. And I mean, we're going to get past this COVID thing. I know everybody is just over it. I know they are. I know because I'm one of them, and my kids have went through the ringer, but, we're ready to move forward, man. And to everyone out there, man, God bless you. Stay strong and, keep your head up. There's better days ahead. I can tell you that.
Amen. Sounds good. Hey, everybody, I'm off tomorrow because I'm driving to Tulsa, Oklahoma, en route to Texas. I will be back, though. I'm going to hop out of that car on Friday and be back here with Juanita Ingram from International Expats with the Ingram. I can't get it right. Google it, all right? It's on Amazon Prime. You might have to check it out on YouTube because they're actually negotiating to actually not only syndicate it, but also to replicate it with potentially more expat families. So it could actually be really cool to see expats and global mobility in Amazon Prime shows. So that would be really awesome. People were loving this conversation. Hit that like button, hit that heart button, throw something out there to Hosea. Appreciate everybody that got involved. The show is always better when you get involved. So I will not see you tomorrow, but I will see you Friday.